Man, when I made this poll, I was very indifferent. To be completely honest with you, I kind of knew Sohei was going to win this one by a mile, and I thought about this video for about a week or so. But to make this video, I realized I had to play Sohei for the background footage. But you guys know I'll suffer for your enjoyment, so this was a no-brainer at the end of the day. In life, there are always patterns. We're human. At the end of the day, having a pattern or routine is just normal and healthy. For some, it's exercise, for some, it's workout routines. For me, it's playing this ball-crushing game for your enjoyment. But Ubisoft themselves also have a pattern. The more updates a Ubisoft title gets, the worse their games fundamentally become. If the Ubisoft game in question can actually not be shipped from launch. For Honor is probably the second most affected game with this pattern. First is obviously Rainbow Six Siege, but that's only because it has a bigger player base.
There won't be any left. There's never any left.
We have seen this pattern take action for years. Let me truly ask you, when was the last hero you've seen released without being one of the most meta-shifting, broken, boring heroes, or one of the most dogshit heroes ever to date? Exactly. For Honor's been releasing broken heroes since, honestly, Pirate, and if you want to be really petty about it, Warmonger and her feats. And if you don't know when Pirate released, she was released over 2 years ago. So for the last 2 years, we've had to deal with the I Win faction constantly getting better and better and better heroes. But not all heroes they released were overpowered, like I said, with the exception of a single hero. One hero I believe to be the worst hero in the game by design, and don't worry, I'll explain my thoughts later. July 25th, 2024, Sohei would be released to the game, and it was a pretty 50-50 mix from the community. One side was optimistic, the other side completely given up on Ubisoft. Safe to say, I was on the latter portion of this 50-50. Before we talk about why I and many others believe Sohei's design was his failure, I want to do some nitpicking on stuff the community voiced their discretions on. First things first, it's another gender-locked hero. Short and sweet, people are tired of gender-locked heroes, but I know why they keep doing this deep down. It directly ties into the second issue I had with Sohei. It's his lack of customization. If you know me, you know I fucking hate armor variants. I despise them so goddamn much. It's a placebo effect where Ubisoft goes, look guys, you get 2 armor sets per rep, but in reality it's just one and the armor set is a different color. It's the exact same piece of armor, but just one thing's removed or changed.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. They're the same picture.
This is why I truly believe they gender-lock heroes every patch when they release, because they don't have the time and resources to make armor sets for 2 different character builds. I mean, for fuck's sake, they barely have time to make for 1 character build. Continuing with customization, players express their annoyance with his weapons. Now, if there's one team I don't hate at Ubisoft, it's their art team. I don't know what they're paying, but Ubisoft, you need to give them a raise. Oh, wait, you can't. But what people were annoyed is that his 7 weapons never changed. No, not a single piece of customization for them. Now, I'm not saying every single weapon should have its own little variant, but, you know, maybe if you changed the chestplate, you could have had different back weapons instead of looking like a homeless person with a bunch of sticks. With all the small gripes aside, let's get to the actual meat and bones to talk about why I myself and other people find his design to be his #1 failure. Sohei is a gimmick hero. He's not the first gimmick hero in For Honor, but he has followed the trend of all gimmick heroes. Let's look at the other gimmick heroes and see if we can find a pattern. They're normally really terrible in terms of viability. Ubisoft is like my uncle at a casino. When he has an idea, he goes all in on it, and when it doesn't work, he doesn't think of the repercussions. So what do I mean by this? Simple. Let's go look at another old gimmick hero and point out their flaws. Old Yorm, I think, is the perfect example with his gimmick. His gimmick was getting you out of stamina. This would lead to a massive punish once achieved, but that problem was getting to that point was really, really difficult. If your opponent was just good at the game, or, you know, you were God's gift to Yorm, then you had no problems. But say you didn't want to use his gimmick to win, what happened? Well, you most likely lost the fight because every other move in his kit was so dumbed down to compensate for this one gimmick. I wonder who else suffers from this exact problem. Look, there's no way I can beat it over the head any harder. Sohei's gimmick is what's holding him back in every single way, and it's so easy to explain. Before we get there, we have to talk about his one-shot as a gimmick. It's not really fun or engaging in this version of the game. They make one mistake and, well, oops, you die. Normally, it's not even their fault because they didn't give you the souls in the first place. I want to show you 2 clips. Do you think my opponent had fun in either of them? I got it.
Oh, thank goodness you interrupted me.
Oh, she's back. No, she dies.
Shame, isn't it?
No, a fucking course not, because both times he was one-shot. One because I farmed his teammate, and the other one because I clicked 4 and 1 on my keyboard and then killed him after one mistake. I also just had to add this since I'm here. When I was going on a long streak of playing Sohei on stream, I then switched heroes every now and then, and I honestly felt like I was cheating. only because the damage I was doing on every other hero was just so much higher. There were so many times I sent out a dodge attack on Sohei thinking, alright, they're dead, and then they live with just a bit more health than I could have done. Let's finally talk about his one-shot in statistics-wise. To compensate for the 95 damage move, Ubisoft made literally every other move in his kit the least amount of damage in the game for every slot. He has 6 damage life finishers and 20 damage life parry punishes. The most damage he gets in his entire kit other than one shot is his 24 damage zone. Even Tiandi himself has higher damage ratios on his light attacks and they're fucking 10 damage. All Sohei players do is fish for their gimmick over and over and over again. That means every single fight with a Sohei feels like you're being molested on how many times he keeps grabbing you without consent. Now, obviously, that's not the only way to get his gimmick online. He has the option to hit you with all 6 of his weapons, and then boom, you're good. But that's the problem. You need to land 6 different low-damaging moves that can be easily blocked or externally dodged away from. They're just too easy to counter. If I'm playing Warden and I land 6 attacks on you, you're probably just fucking dead. So instead of trying to land these 6 different moves, Sohei just wants to do the double guard break over and over again. So in my head, anytime I'm fighting a Sohei, all I think about is this. If he guard breaks me twice, I lose the fight. Or if he hits me 6 times, I lose the fight. And after I think about that, I will literally never allow myself to get guard broken. That means attempting to parry anything is out of the question because I can either make 6 mistakes and die or make 2 mistakes and die. Which option do you think has more margin of error? And this is the thing as well, if I'm eating all 6 of these attacks, I'm still probably going to have more health than him in this entire fight because the fight's been going on for so long. Because his damage is just so goddamn pathetic. This is the point. His damage is not threatening enough to make me want to parry anything if I'm not certain he's going to throw the attack. It's just not enough damage to care. This character fucking sucks. The third issue is his just lack of pressure in teamfights. His hitboxes on his weapons are laughable or non-existent, except for his zone, but that's just, you know, a blockable attack. I'm fine with the top and right side unblockable being single target because it makes sense. One's an overhead and one's a pierce, really being used for teamfights only. But the left one should definitely have an external hitbox. I know I can speak for a lot of Sohei players when I say that I've literally seen this weapon collide with people on my left side, and it's done nothing because the hitbox is not activated yet. Look, I'm not asking for pre-nerf Radon hitboxes, but a hitbox would be nice. There were even plenty of times when I was playing that I would try to external someone, fail miserably because it doesn't have a hitbox, but my opponent would think it would still hit him. My opponent believed the move would hit him even though it doesn't have a hitbox. So let's get to the part where I give my thoughts on how to real fix Sohei without stripping him of his gimmick like Ubisoft normally does. In my honest opinion, his damage just needs to be balanced out entirely. Ubisoft focused way too much on his one-shot, overcompensating it, and in the process making everything else in his kit feel like pool noodles. Bring his one-shot damage down to around 60 to 70 damage, and disperse the rest of that damage to the rest of his kit. This keeps it so in combination with his third feat and his first feat, you can probably still one-shot people in Dominion with his gimmick, keeping his gimmick in line. His light finishers need to be buffed from 6 to 10 minimum. I don't think any move should be going under 10 damage if it's just purely physical damage. Make his top heavy finisher at least 24 damage. It's a light parry punish. It needs to be threatening. Up his side heavy openers to 24 to 25 damage to keep them in line with other really slow heavies from the side. Warlord is a perfect example. Not only do they have almost the same speed, but Warlord gets creeping hyper armor on his side heavies. And Soul Saw is nice, but I would up the bleed damage to 14 to make the move do 20 damage overall instead of 18. I don't think gimmick heroes are a bad thing. If anything, they're the opposite. They're good, fun to spice up the gameplay. But at the same time, if you lean way too much into a gimmick, you're going to have a hero that sucks for the general populace to play, and I really mean that. In the last month and a half, I think I've recorded about 60% of Soheis I've seen in my games rage quit because their heroes suck so much fucking monkey balls, it's not worth the stay to lose over and over and over again. But I will say this, Sohei is fun. Like I said, he can be a fun hero and Ubisoft did a good job making him unique, but he's only fun if your opponents are allowing you to have fun. If you have any ideas on how you change Sohei, let me know in the comments. I read all of them. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Oh my